The broth has a bit of sourness, there's a bit of sweetness. What I'm enjoying in this is the texture of the meat.
For my matcha?
Yes.
Yeah.
One for my one matcha.
How's it? Yeah.
Wow.
Totally something to try. So this is Shree's Fix Together Perfect Vietnamese coffee if you don't like too much sweet. Venture into these places where you find the locals eating. I think that's really where you find the true Vietnamese authentic flavors. Going by the number of people that you see here, it certainly seems to be an ice cream that is hugely popular.
So here we are.
Ah, the banh mi.
Thank you.
Huh? So this is the cha ka.
Kaka.
This picture is exactly of this place here. In the link that my friend from HaNoi sent me, it's got this picture. So if this is the same as that, then the joys of trying to find the Bun Cha, but there are identical boards at this corner, so we don't know which one is which. That's a Bun Cha So 1, that's a Bun Cha So 1, and that's a Bun Cha So 1 too. So we really don't know. Okay, so this is the regular set, which is grilled pork with a rice noodle. That's right. So this is the rice noodle, this is the actual grilled pork. And it's got this sweetish kind of soup thing inside. And salad, chilies, lemon. Okay. So you basically start to put a bit of this into this.
So bun is the rice noodle.
That's right.
What we just ate.
Yeah. So the word bun means rice noodles.
Ah, okay, okay. Bun Cha
Hangman Dak Kim. This is
since 1966.
yes. Two portions of that.
Two portions. Let's order two portions.
Yeah. And hi. Hi. This is the pork, so it's that grilled pork. The soupy thing that you see is a sweetish, sour. So you pull this out, you take a portion size into your bowl, yeah, and then you sort of top it up with the pork. You can also put a bit of this. There's also some salads inside this. It's not just meat, right? So there's then of course you can
Put the veggies and all of
veggies
that.
and stuff.
Fantastic.
That's the way to go.
So this is like minced pork or?
That one must be like a patty kind of thing.
I think there are different cuts of meat that you have here. So there's some that looks like ham. There's some minced pork that's wrapped with some spinach of sorts. There's some lean pork. There's some fat here. I think get some more of that broth in that.
Yeah.
The broth has a bit of sourness, there's a bit of sweetness. What I'm enjoying in this is the texture of the meat. The minced texture of the meat absorbs all the flavors of that broth. There's absolutely no heat in this. So I guess if you want some heat, that's where I think this chili garlic dip comes into play. I'm quite liking that.
Pretty much every place.
That minced pork, which is wrapped with some spinach, I suppose. Get some of the lean meat as well. And get a piece with some fat too. And this time around, I'm going to make sure that I also introduce to this some garlic and some chili. Just to give it that bit of pungency that you need. The broth otherwise has a sweetness, has a bit of sourness, but I think what's missing is a bit of that punch that the chili and the garlic can bring. And for good measure, some of the greens too. So there's some coriander in there, some mint. Typically people eat Bun Cha when in the afternoon, daytime, morning. When do they eat Bun Cha?
It's a meal, so maybe lunch, evening.
Lunchtime.
So if you ask a Vietnamese, they will usually say pho will be more filling to last longer. When you have this, you might feel hungry maybe a couple of hours later.
I think I'm absolutely blown away by the freshness of the herbs here. There's a different flavor hit each time depending on what you're tasting. Depending on what cut of the meat you're tasting, whether you're tasting it with the greens. Now that I've added the garlic and the chilies to it, there certainly is that layer of pungency which I felt was a little missing in the first bite. Earlier I could taste the flavor of that broth rather simple. It's a bit sweet, there's a bit of sourness. But now I think that pungency of the garlic and the chili also adds a certain depth to it. Huh? I wonder what this is. Some sort of cabbage. This is absolutely delicious. And the flavors are so clean.
Yeah, so one way to go also would be to add spring rolls to your Bun Cha, which
Okay.
kind of it's a deep fried thing, so obviously it's rich.
So it adds an extra element to your...
Extra element to it.
Now I bit into a piece of the meat with some fat. So I can taste that umami layer, that umami flavor of the fat in that bite. And this one I'm sure will be rich and aromatic in all that, with all that herbaceousness of that mint, the coriander. And this is certainly one of those dishes that you should eat without any inhibitions, no? Just enjoy it.
That's a very healthy, wholesome proportion.
I just love the fact like, you know, there's everything in it, right? You've got the starch, you've got the carbohydrate, you've got the meat, you've got the greens. So Shri, of course, doesn't eat any of this, so she's content. She's being quite sporting by just having some lettuce with some garlic and chilies. She's just giving us company and also helping me with my iPhone a bit just to capture some footage. So Manish, that was a fantastic Bun Cha experience. So when you come here, there are 2 or 3 around the same place. So we came to the one which has since 1966 mentioned on the board. I assume, and Manish has looked at some pictures online saying this seems to be the older one. But I suspect that the experience in these places will be more or less similar. I'm going to, for whatever it's worth, I'm going to place the link to this specific store in the description below. So do check it out, and I think a Bun Cha experience when in HaNoi, especially the one that we've tasted here, is a must. Huh?
Definitely, and it's always also safe. You know, when you see more local Vietnamese people having something,
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
always a good
That's
short
true.
way of knowing it's
That's true.
available.
Always go where the locals go, where you see the locals enjoying their fare, enjoying the food. Where it's crowded, you will always have a great time. We just learned a lesson just before this where we had the fish. Of course, it came as a recommendation, but we did not see anybody else in there, and that should have rung an alarm bell in our mind, but it didn't for whatever reason. But anyway, lesson learned. But you win some, you lose some. And when you win big. Like this Bun Cha at Bun Cha.
Hangman.
Hangman.
Hangman. Dak Kim.
Bun Cha Hangman Dak Kim. The roti.
So there's salted egg, there's chocolate or sokola.
Matcha and chocolate.
Yeah.
Matcha and cheese. We'll do one chocolate and we'll do one matcha and cheese.
For my matcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
One for my one matcha.
How's it? Yeah.
Wow.
Totally something to try. I think that cheese and the matcha combination works absolutely brilliant.
I want vanilla.
One vanilla.
Yeah, 20,000.
How's the vanilla?
melts in your mouth.
Yeah. You know, different level altogether. Huh? So this is like a combination between a bread and a very airy sponge cake.
Sponge cake.
That's really the sort of texture that it has. Well, this is delicious. This is something else, Manish. This is better than that. This outer layer has a texture of a very delicate crust. Huh? And inside it is absolutely airy. Soft.
Spongy.
Spongy. You know, it's a combination between a very light bread and a sponge cake. Right? And the sweetness is just right. And the aroma of the vanilla, fantastic. So this was King Roti. The other one that we tried was the Roti.
Right next to each other.
I think we are blown away by the texture of the bread here. Absolutely delicious. So I think between the two, my vote goes to King Roti. Definitely come here, check it out.
Hot. Glass per hot, okay?
We'll have the coffee with the filter. So this is Shree's Fix Together Perfect Vietnamese coffee if you don't like too much sweet. So you get your coffee, which is in this case the filter with the coffee dripping into it. The condensed milk on the side, so you can pour only as much as you want. And some hot water to balance the sweetness, right?
Yeah.
So that way you get the perfect filter coffee.
It's black coffee. It's Cafe Den.
Den.
No da because there's no ice, right? So
Okay.
Cafe Den is black coffee. And then we add the soa.
Soa is a condensed milk. And then of course for us with some hot water.
Sweet sugar.
Nuuk Soi. Nuuk Soi is water. And Nuuk Soi Nam, which is hot water.
Just taste and see. Sometimes, you know.
Hoan Kiem Lake.
Hoan Kiem Lake. So this is like the second biggest lake in Hanoi.
Yeah, the biggest lake is the West Lake.
Okay.
I forget the Vietnamese name, but it's also called the West Lake.
Huh.
But Hoan Kiem is probably the next biggest lake.
The next biggest lake. So it's a nice area just to relax, chill in the middle of the city. Take a walk or just sit by the lake and appreciate the stillness of the lake with a bustle around you. What's this place called?
It's Tom Tho.
That is the name of the dish that we ordered.
Tom Tho. So that must be their signature.
Oh,
Tom Tho, which is basically the clay pot.
That's what I think.
So we enjoyed a delicious clay pot with roasted chicken and also with the stir-fried chicken. I'm just amazed at the richness of the food culture that you find here, especially the local food. Of course, you will find those places, especially in the old quarter, where it's all about the beer and not so much about the food, where people are sitting there, people gazing, enjoying the beers, and then you have the food, which is whatever it is, which is still decent. But then when you venture into these places where you find the locals eating, I think that's really where you find the true Vietnamese authentic flavors. So wherever you go, you will find these little places with stools out on the footpath. There's a little room inside, there's a first floor up there, and you will find some great food. All that you have to do is go in with an open mind so that you are ready to immerse yourself in new flavors. Of course, the food here is more predisposed towards the meats. So if you are a vegetarian, especially in places like these, you may perhaps have to search a bit more. But having said that, the flavors that you taste are incredible. I just love the vibrant nature of the food culture that you see here. Even as we're sitting in this restaurant on the first floor, I can look at the street below, and every shop is a little eatery, and there are hundreds of locals enjoying their food. enjoying their fare. I think that's the beauty about the food culture here. I think no matter where you go, you will always find something interesting, you will always find something delicious. Just be ready to embrace new flavors, be open to it. And the other thing that I also find here, Manish, is that the food here is not overly spicy, is not overly, sauced up, etc. Right? It's more about the ingredients.
So for example, there'll be sauces by the side. So you can decide how spicy or not you want it to be, how salty or not you want it to be.
I think it's more about allowing the principal ingredients to speak. So like for example with this ClayPot rice and chicken, they've served as a very light vegetable broth with some greens in it. Very delicate, hardly flavored yet feels complete. It doesn't feel lacking in any manner. And I think that's the beauty of Vietnamese cuisine. It's lightly flavored yet doesn't feel wanting in any aspect in terms of its flavors. Wonderful, huh? So also many of these places, the families that own it, they live in the same place?
Yep. So typically most of these storefronts, the family that cooks the food usually lives upstairs.
So it's basically the sort of food that they would cook at home anyway.
Exactly. The best part about Vietnamese food is that you never get this feeling of home food and restaurant food being that different. It's just about the scale of cooking.
And I think most places, at least 90% of them, it's the ladies who are driving the effort, right? Which is brilliant.
See, the ice cream place.
Are you enjoying the walk along the lake, Sri?
Yep. So
There's so much happening here at
I think we walked
the
more
Hoan
than
Kiem Lake. Huh?
We walked more than 6-7 kilometers.
We walked more than 6-7 kilometers. Of course, today Sri has been very patient as Manish and I have been exploring a lot of the traditional Vietnamese, which unfortunately does not involve too much vegetarian. So she's been very cooperative. So now we're trying to find our way to a very popular ice cream place, I'm told, and that's really where we are headed.
In the supermarket, I picked up some nice aloe vera yogurt and then some vanilla yogurt. And then I picked up some nice exotic fruits.
Fantastic.
So it's not like I was starving.
Lovely.
I was eating the yogurt and the fruits.
There's a lovely vibe here to this area, and I think what they do on the weekends is they stop all traffic in and around this area. So it's only pedestrians, people walking. There's a lot of acts that you see along the road, people selling things, and generally people having a great time.
Apparently it's one of the most famous ice cream places.
Yeah. Well, after a long walk around the lake, it's time to cool off with some ice cream.
We earned it, right?
So my brother Manish is buying us some ice cream.
I didn't say that.
Don't be a cheap. This is a family channel, so I can't say anything beyond that. But you get the point. Going by the number of people that you see here, it certainly seems to be an ice cream that is hugely popular. So they're sold out, huh? All vanilla.
So 4 vanilla.
Happy birthday! What are your names?
My name is Trần
Nyup. And what's your name?
My name is Nam.
Nam.
Or you can call me Nicholas.
Nicholas.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So they're the ones who helped us find this place. We got a little lost around the lake, but they helped us. Thank you very much. Enjoy your ice cream and happy birthday. Is it worth the walk? Yeah.
So what's your plan for the week?
Vanilla is rather light, no? It's not very creamy. It's a little icy, but there's a certain lightness to the ice cream that I think appeals to people. Because it's light, I think doesn't leave you with a feeling of guilt. We've been walking around the lake for over an hour, so it's sort of ice cream that makes you feel like you've earned it. Shri, I should not finish your ice cream. Shri is not very happy with my long review. on the ice cream. How's it? It's good. So I'm told this pho place that we're going to is quite a popular one. I'm told it's the #1 pho place in Hanoi.